Thank you. Thank you. Please, please. Check. Check one. Check. Thank you. Jesus. Sit down. Sit down. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So, what is the CIO Lifeline? Let's start with what it's not. It's not some side hustle. It's not meant to generate revenue, or it's not a race to get to 100,000 subscribers. It's just the passion to talk about IT. So I want to have general thought leadership discussions. And that involves talking with colleagues, that involves talking with partners in various industries, whether it's telecom or security or even cyber insurance. The list goes on and on and on. We talk about change management. We talk about redefining IT. We talk about. There's a lot of content. This is just casual conversations twice a month, bringing people together and having some fun with the content. And we do have fun. I hope it's educational for those that watch, and I hope you get a chuckle or crack a smile at a minimum. It's all about breaking through the traditional barrier, the legacy mindset against what IT is, and that is purely it's a cost center. That's the legacy mindset we're looking to crack. Every company is a technology company. And what's that mean? That means we are entrenched in the business. That means we are a business function, not a support function. We are all in it together. That means being around the leadership table. That means being in the room when key decisions are being made and strategic decisions are being formulated. We have philosophical conversations. We have core technical conversations, help desk strategy, IT backup strategy. We need to be increasingly business minded. We're not just IT people, we're marketers too, because we're selling our value. What's baked in the cake is having a senior level for operations, for finance, sales. IT is still looked at that next tier down. It's just the reality. We talk about adapting to the C-suite. We talk about how to read a room when you're around the table, looking for that person whose eyes glaze over after 5 minutes because you're throwing out these fancy terms and acronyms and just talking way over their head.
No one in this country can ever pronounce my name right. It's not that hard, David. Najad.
Demonstrating you have that strong foundational knowledge of the business. Don't talk about what CRM system that your employees should use. Get in the car and go with your reps to customers. Live the day in the life. Then start to formulate your response. You need to be entrenched in the business. You need to be able to have a conversation with your CEO and CFO that can resonate with them. How do we change the mindset of what legacy IT departments were 20, 30 years ago and have them firmly entrenched and ingrained in the C-suite, in the boardrooms, part of business conversations? That's it. It's as simple as that. And if I look on paper, there's 3 years worth of content to go. To have 3 years of content, I'm really ahead of my skis because it only takes a matter of months to date yourself on what you're talking about. In fact, I went back to the first episode I did, and it was pretty obvious to me how quickly these things can age.
You're looking at a small portable computer called the IBM 5100. It's helping a lot of different people do their work more productively.
But this is why content has to stay fresh, has to stay engaging, has to stay relevant. Who knows? Maybe in a year or two, maybe sooner, this goes by the wayside. But for now, it's a lot of fun, and it's all about having engaging guests and thought leaders to keep this thing going. Every budget season has a series of new projects, new challenges, new acquisitions, and how we bond together and feed off each other is very powerful. In fact, just that comment alone is probably 5 more episodes. We cover change management, redefining IT organizations, IT backup strategy, and I do some interesting interviews with the president and vice president of Dynamics User Group when we were in Scottsdale, Arizona earlier this year. Talked to the managing editor of msdynamicsworld.com. I even talked to a Dynamics developer who did an upgrade himself, start to finish. So you'll always have your table stakes topic, technology at its core. But back to that overall theme, how do we elevate IT within organizations? Having a co-host is very important because that engaged back and forth and the banter, I think, helps keep the conversation going. For example, here's a couple clips from the change management episode. Having some skin in the game, right? And I mentioned empathy and that, and part of that, and that's all part of the discovery. And you said it that these folks are playing a part in this, and that is, living a day in the life in their shoes. That's not an afternoon session, because having that buy-in, having that user adoption is critical to success. I mean, you want to talk about on time, on budget, or just having a successful process in general. It's not that hard to make a project difficult if you're not believing in its vision. I mean, it's one thing, like, generally speaking, being an authoritarian with an iron fist just adds time and money to the project, right? You gotta have folks believing in it as best as you can. I mean, because you do have folks that are your legacy employees. They've been doing the same thing for 20, 30 years. And here comes this outside vendor going to try and tell us what we do. I call it I haven't coined the syndrome yet, but the belief that your business, your operation is unique in the solar system. There's no business like you, and therefore you can't understand what we do, and therefore your solution or your upgrade is not going to be a fit for us. So, I mean, I'm kind of beating up the same point, but the human side of this is just critical.
That's right. And as you work through the process, most of the folks are going to come along. They just want to feel like they're heard, that they're understood, and that you're actually taking into account, what was important to them. Because in most cases, you can figure out whether it was a comfort thing or it was a functional thing. Because we don't want them to lose their functional capabilities. They might have to get a little uncomfortable for a minute when they learn how to get it a different way.
And now the project is launched. Everybody's, we're high-fiving. I mean, we feel like, but it's not entirely done yet, is it?
Well, not typically. Just because we were shipping orders on day one after we got our new company acquired doesn't necessarily mean that everybody's feeling good and that the processes are efficient.
An IT backup strategy, an immensely important topic for any organization, and we had a special guest that day.
So there really is not a rule of thumb. Tom, I'll defer if you've got one that you tell people, but it's always tricky. I always have to analyze the type of data they have to determine how much space they're going to need. So you have 10 terabytes. Do you need 10 terabytes of backup? Maybe. Do you only need 6 because we can dedupe and we're not deduping in that situation? Could be. Or do you have 10 terabytes that are already deduped and you want to keep a year's worth of history? Do I need 100 terabytes then? Like that starts getting a little funky too, because we didn't talk at all about how many backups we want to keep, right? How far do we want to keep it? What's your data retention policy? How long do you have to keep all of these backups? These are all things that you have to consider when you're putting in your backup strategy.
Well, Brian, you alluded.
This is the first of 5 parts.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
Brian alluded to it, but it really is, and you had the right phrase for it. But what is your acceptable downtime? Let's just say the most catastrophic thing happened, and we got to go full restore, bare metal. How long can you be down?
And you got to have outtakes, right? But yeah, because I think, well, again, I'll be cutting this shit out.
No, but you're right, Tony.
That conversation with yourself tends to get stale, and you tend to lose an engaged audience if you even have one.
All the Microsoft employees, we are a very open and transparent community. I don't know what just fell out of your pocket, but
Jeez, I think I'm going to get deducted for this. We're going to let
Are
it.
you good now?
We're going to free fall it. Sorry.
Oh.
Almost said something else that rhymes with fall. Always open to new ideas. I like fresh perspectives. If you see something you like, tell me. If you see something you hate, please tell me. Last thing I want is to have wrong path or down a dark alley. So what's next for CIO Lifeline? Well, we're going to mix it up a little bit. We have a new co-host joining the team. His name is Craig Sroda. Craig is a virtual CIO, founder, owner, president of VCIO Global, a business helping companies with their IT needs, whether it be ERP, help desk, strategy, vision, you name it. We look forward to learning more about that. Next episode will be with Mark Rhodes. Mark is a former wannabe astronaut who thrives on building connections and helping companies solve problems and save time. Mark and I worked together for 7 years under DCI, that's Dynamic Communities. He was director and led up the Navision and Business Central portion of that large group. I was on the advisory council with focus on user group communities for 3 years. And then I chaired the CIO council for 4 years, all under Mark's direction. Very excited for him to join the show. And we talk about vendor and partner relationships, the dynamics that go into it, what you should look out for, and how to make the most out of that relationship. You don't want to miss that episode. Beyond that, we have lots of topics to cover, like I said earlier. And thank you for staying with us. I look forward to seeing you soon. Until next time.